This is
So what was your experience? But because you mentioned in your email something about a bike. You were like riding away from a girl
oh
on a bicycle or
Jesus
something,
Christ! I was so
and you
embarrassing.
didn't lose your virginity until later in life or something
Mm,
like that. And
so
like
and
what was your
thank you for
history, your
answering that email and really
perspective?
for the opportunity to be here. So when that was the girl that she was blonde, she had the cut, so I cut her off and like it was really hard because I didn't understand what was going on and I became I think you say like a rejection based obsession is it? So I became a
Mm-hmm.
little obsessed to understand why. And then one day I was like on my bicycle and I saw her walking. I saw her walking on the sidewalk, and then I was extremely nervous. I was extremely nervous. So I say, hey, how you doing? Like the girl saying, hey, can I come to you? So I crossed the street, went to her, and I panicked. I completely panicked. I got an anxiety attack or whatever. I panicked and I sort of like I was seeing a monster. I stepped back like, don't touch me. I don't want to see you like that because in my mind, I created this scenario that I did something wrong to her. And I told her, I'm so sorry for what I did to you. I didn't do anything, but I thought I did. So that's why I stepped back and she told me, no, you did nothing wrong. It's okay. But I was keep stepping back with my bag and I told her, can I please go? I told her, can I please go? That's how insecure I was about myself. Can I please go? And then I just went with my bicycle up there and then like just like that. And she was like, what the?
What the hell's with that guy?
But after that, like I had the courage to, I actually texted her after that because I wanted to say, hey, I want to apologize for that, whatever. And then we started, during the pandemic, we started dating again. I started dating her one more time. We're having dates, but there was a difference this time. I had this. I had this time. So I began to see, oh, wait, there's something way off here. But I want to keep like trying because she was a nice person. She had a good heart,
So she wasn't as quiet as she had been.
No, she was quiet. She was still
So
quiet.
still that didn't change.
That didn't change. But this time, since there was the pandemic, we were doing video calls during that time. And video calls, and she was really nice, and she texted me.
So you weren't actually getting together in person.
Yeah, but I was trying to get in person. So each time I sent it, so we were talking a little bit via the phone, the chat online, whatever, and then via FaceTime. And I thought, so let's meet together. Let's go to a park. We're safe. But she always denied it, always. So I tried like, okay, that's okay. I understand the pandemic is here. You want to feel safe, okay. So I tried like 2 more times, and then on the third one, the last one, I wanted to invite her to to go to some woods to walk around, do some hiking, and then go eat some place. And then after that, the day before, she texted me, "Hey, I want to keep like social distancing. Let's try to reschedule for
This
another
wasn't
day."
the same girl that was asked to kiss. You wanted to
No,
kiss.
no, it's a
This
different
is
one.
different. Okay.
It's a different. It's the first one that I dated. So
So you couldn't get her back out on a date again.
because she was so afraid of the pandemic. But I think that was an excuse she was using just because she didn't want to be with me, which I understood after that.
Mm-hmm.
So after she sent me the text, she sent me something like, "Hey, I want to keep the social distancing. Want to keep the social distancing. We might be able to reschedule after that." After that, I just sent her a thumbs up as a text and gone from my life. I deleted her number, but I kept her in my Instagram. We were following me on Instagram, but I muted her on my Instagram. Then after that, I started dating, posting stuff that I've been doing on my own Instagram account. And then one specific thing happened while I was dating. I put like some comments like, "Hey, I'm gonna see this girl sometime from one of my adventures and stuff." And then she actually blocked me from Instagram. She blocked me from Instagram, and then months after that, she unblocked me again. But I already had my girlfriend, and we were already having a lot of fun. And then I posted on my Instagram one day a post of me going canoeing with my current girlfriend. And after that, she blocked me completely, and that was gone. It's
This
completely
is the
gone.
same girl.
The same girl, yeah, yeah. So I think she might have something that she wanted to have, but I wasn't up to it. I already had something better. Yeah.
Cool. So what's the big takeaway then from the book?
From the book, basically, it's like
What was the big paradigm shift for
so
you?
basically, the how to be a 3% man. It's like understanding how women work, but it's more of a way of life that you need to do. a way of life, how to understand people, because it doesn't only apply for women, for people too. A lot of people, you can have a good conversation with them, understand them, see what they want, their goals, their dreams, and you can have relationship with each person, not intimate, of course, but this teach you how to do that. And I didn't know that before. Then I transferred to mastering yourself, which is basically what I'm doing now. I want to be a master of myself professionally. I want to do something that I'm passionate about, that I can be the best version of myself doing that. But that one takes a little bit more. It's harder work. So I consider 3% Man to be the easy one. Mastering yourself is hard. That's the hard one.
Cool.
Yep.
What about you, Dom? Because for the longest time, like Dominic was always telling people, "Oh, you should read this book. It's great," but he never actually read it. And then after his divorce, he started reading it and got into it. He was like, "This is actually pretty good." Why were you so hesitant at first?
Well, I knew Corey before. He got, ran with the coaching that he has now. And I knew him, how long ago was it? 15 years ago? More?
2004.
So it was a long time ago. So I knew Corey when he was in real estate. So I knew he was big into the Tony Robbins stuff and big into self-development and growth. And that's what brought Corey into the office. So when he got into the coaching, I was like, yeah, Corey's into this coaching stuff. But, it's kind of like, it reminded, the same perspective was probably when I would come home from chiropractic school, right when I was about to graduate. It was, my son, the doctor, he's becoming a doctor. He's going to help people, this and that. But then after I'm home the third or fourth day, I'm like, oh, yeah, you were the kid that pooped on the floor in the kitchen when you were 4, or 3, whatever it was. You know what I mean? Like you go, it's like you don't see them for who they currently have developed themselves. You kind of like start to bring back that who they were. So I knew Corey had insights. I knew he was pretty sharp with what he was doing, but I just didn't take him that seriously. And then when I started having challenges in a relationship, and Corey was like, "Hey, what's going on?" And I told him that I was going through a horrible divorce. It was a nightmare. Corey looked at me, and he was shocked and pissed at the same time. I think he was surprised to hear that my relationship completely fell apart.
Well, I remember when it came about. He's like, I hadn't seen him in, I don't know, a few months or whatever. And I had my head down, I'm laying on the table, and he goes, "Oh, my wife and I are done."
I was done.
And I'm like, "What?" I said, "That's the last thing I expected to hear," because the image that he and his wife had always presented is like how happy and amazing everything was. But then I remember he was like, "Well, let's go to dinner. I'll tell you all about it." And then so we go to dinner. And I was like, "Dude, why didn't you say something?" And I remember you going, "Well, you don't really want to admit that you're being a bitch in your marriage," or something along those lines was what he said. Because you had not been open to reading it before.
Right. Some people, they have to be in more pain before they move forward. Mm-hmm. And I was in plenty of pain, so I was motivated. So Corey was reached out to me and was helping me bits and pieces here along the way to get clarity when I would reach out for it, which is appreciated. I started reading his book a bit, and I started realizing how what was going on in my relationship was consistent with how I was showing up in the relationship. And I remember there was part of me that I just didn't know what the hell to do. Like if you've ever been in a relationship where you're like, okay, so what I want to do what I'm supposed to do. I want to show up in the way that I need to show up. So at least I could feel good that, hey, however it panned out, at least I did my end. You know what I mean? And I just felt like I didn't have a guide. I didn't have a gauge to know, am I showing up in the way that I'm supposed to show up? Am I dropping the ball? Is like whose burden is this really? And whatever burden it is of mine, I want to take full responsibility for it so that I could make sure that I'm doing it. But I didn't know. I was doing what I thought I needed to do, but there was a part of me that, and I think all of us, that once you realize, hey, what I'm doing isn't working, is it me? Is it the other person? Or what's the ratio there? And what is it exactly that I need to do different? So that's where the book really started to shine, and that's where your coaching really helped me a lot. Man, we go through so much pain, and when you have someone that day in and day out gets to help people with what they do and see what it is that they're not seeing, that just helps so much. So those of you who are on the fence with hiring Corey and saying, hey, how do I know at what point I need to talk to Corey? What point can...
Preferably after they've read the book.
prefer that after I read the book, but let me tell you, having that perspective is incredibly powerful and really helps you get a different perspective. And once you see it different, then you can show up in the way that's necessary to either dissolve the situation or show up the way that you should have all along to get to course correct. So to give props to Corey, his ability to see that perspective was invaluable, because once he shared with me a couple of things that I was missing, that I wasn't seeing, I wasn't aware of, it really helped me quite a bit. At that point in my relationship with my wife going through the divorce, that was a done deal. But in the new relationship, I started seeing some of the same patterns of behavior and the same emotions. And then I was like, okay, so is this me? Is it the other person? And where am I at here? And how could I grow so that I could show up better and not repeat the same? So, Corey,
what were the things that you were doing that you recognized that you struggled with in your first marriage that you corrected with your now second wife?
All right, so Corey's not going to let me dance around it. This is his nice way of saying.
It's funny because the same question was on my mind.
What is it? So I had a thing in
What's
relationship.
the difference that makes a difference?
So the difference that makes a difference was I became aware that in my past relationship, I was the provider. I took care of everything. I paid the bills. I paid the insurance. I paid the power. I paid the food. I took care of everything. The taxes. I mean, I paid for everything. And I like being responsible. I like showing up. I like being the masculine and doing that. But there were also times where I didn't feel appreciated. And I thought that fell onto the other person. I now realize that me feeling appreciated had nothing to do with the other person, but it was the stage 1 consciousness challenge that I had. So now that I know that when I feel that, I just need to increase my connection to the stage 1 consciousness. And it's what I feel is my responsibility, not the other person's. And I noticed that when I got in a relationship with Ashley, who I'm now married to due to some help, that was a weak area with me. So now I know that that's part of my almost daily routine that I do that. And I have no need to feel appreciated by the other person. As a man in my masculine, I know that I'm here to serve. I'm here to be on my purpose. I'm here to contribute. And I don't need to be fulfilled from the other person. That's my job. So I take my emotions as my responsibility, which I didn't always know before. And if someone had said, so who's responsible for your emotions? I would have said me. But to be able to be aware that what I'm feeling is mine and not the other person's, it's almost like a certain awareness and incompetence. Because it's like I had the headiness, the story for it, but I didn't always have the awareness of how it was playing out in my life. So that gap for me, having the coaching and the body awareness or the consciousness exercises, just really put the two together. Having the story for it and seeing how to apply it. I needed both. And that's when my relationship, the trajectory completely changed.
So I completed my first book. Yep. This is a book of arrangements for classical guitarists. So for classical guitarists out there, it's an excellent addition. There are excellent additions to someone's repertoire. I chose this repertoire with pieces that are commonly known to the public, things that are popular among the general public, and advanced material, but good for a Christmas gift for anybody who, anyone who plays fingerstyle guitar or classical guitar. But it's 7 different arrangements with meticulous fingerings, and so I was excited about it. I did it all. First book, so published on Amazon. That's called Solo Guitar Arrangements for the Virtuoso Classical Guitarist. It's also available on my website as well, Classical Guitar Orlando. Well, as we mentioned earlier, BrianHayesMusic.com will take you to both of my websites. So the classical guitar materials are on the classical guitar site and the lessons site are 2 different sites. So Brian Hayes Music is like a hub page, I guess. It's a hub to take you to the 2. But yeah, that's exciting. That's just this week. So there you go.
Yeah, it's cool to finally see
come.
Because he's been, he's been talking about this for years and years, and then now, he's finally publishing all these things and getting them out. It's pretty cool to see.
Yeah. I've published several arrangements of mine for a while now as sheet music singles, which are also available on my website. But this is the first time I've published the collection as a book, which is pretty cool. Pretty cool stuff. But taken for granted, isn't that a common thing? I mean, almost everybody probably can slip into that in a relationship, taking the other person for granted.
Sure. So there's taking the other person for granted, but it's as I take responsibility for my emotion, I realize that it's not her job to complete me. It's not her job to make me feel appreciated. What I feel is mine.
Happy.
But she wasn't taken for granted? Because I wouldn't be surprised if she was, because it seems like that my brother's going through that right now. It seems like getting complacent and taking the person for granted is really common. All people seem to have to fight it, it seems to me.
But when you're experiencing pain in a relationship, it's because you're focusing on yourself. You're focused on what you're not getting. But at the end of the day, the happiness doesn't come from the other person. It's you decide that what's going on is what's making you happy. And so they don't, maybe you have an expectation they're supposed to do a certain thing or say, hey, thanks for bringing home the bacon this week or whatever. And then they don't match your expectation. Then you decide, oh, I'm pissed off. I'm upset. She doesn't appreciate me. She doesn't respect me.
Exactly. And at the end of the day, when I'm the most in my masculine, I find that I want to give because I want to contribute. Different than I'm giving and I expect her to make food. I expect her to make the bed. I expect her to clean the house. That's trading. So there's a big difference between trading, giving, and having expectations in return. That's trading. So now when I give for the sake of giving. I show up for the sake of showing up. And the masculine needs nothing. Like really being at that place where I need nothing. I'm just here to serve.
Yeah, the purpose of all relationships is you go there to give.
If you get on there to, how does it go? You trade in your expectations for appreciations?
Yeah, there's someone I know, I won't say who it is in case they're watching whether they wind up watching this. There's someone I know who is taking care, his girlfriend lives with him and he's taking care of her kid and financially taking care of everything, like you said, and taking care of her. She's not working. And after a while, I mean, she might have really thought that was amazing. I mean, how many men would do that? I mean, she was pregnant with the child when they met. But now it's a given now. It's just taken for granted. So, well, that's just, the appreciation for that has kind of disappeared. And she's complaining about various things about him in the relationship. So he's going to get the heck out of it. It's like, but her taking that for granted, I see that all the time. It seems like it's a natural thing to do.
I would say that that's possible. Like I could definitely see how that would show up. But I would have some interesting questions. Did you say it was your brother? Is that right, or a friend of yours? Yeah,
the description of the situation is too obvious anyway. So
at this point, sorry, brother, I didn't mean to throw you under the bus. But I would say that I would share with him to do the stage 1 consciousness exercises because his take of it is from his perspective.
Well, I'm not advising him at all. He wouldn't really.
So he's like my brother. I can't give him any advice either.
I'm getting more of the information from my mother, to be honest. He talks to her more.
Right.
He wouldn't listen. He's not looking for advice of any kind. He doesn't want. Yeah, he doesn't want to. He doesn't. He's going to continue to do things his way, and that's what he wants to do.
Sure.
You can't follow him for that. That's what he wants.
Exactly, and he's not asking for our help or our perspective,
right? And doesn't want any. Yeah.
But for those men that are listening that can relate to that, I would share with you that whatever you feel, claim is yours. You're responsible for your emotions, and you're responsible for how you feel. And when you really take ownership for that, you contribute to the relationship to give and to serve and expect nothing in return. In other words, don't go in there needing to feel appreciated. And if you're going in with that need, you're probably going to be disappointed no matter how she shows up.
Yeah. So if you wake up every morning and she's screaming at you and complaining about everything, if you really have mastery over your emotions, you would feel perfectly fine every morning.
Well, what I'm saying is whenever a woman acts out, that typically means the man isn't showing up. So he's not showing up in his masculine. He dropped the ball somewhere. And really, with the limited information that I have, it sounds like she's testing him to see is he going to show up. Because that's what she's wired. Remember, she's a woman with a child. Let's just say he or she's a couple years old now.
Yeah, so if he's not being a leader in the relationship, then she moves into her masculine. Women typically get bitchy and nasty.
Meanwhile, he's financially supporting her and her child.
And at the end of the day,
not showing up is looking like a lot of work. I mean,
So we like to think as men, if I'm showing up, I'm paying the power bill, I'm paying the mortgage bill, I'm providing, I'm bringing the food home. That's masculine enough for women. It ain't enough.
none of it's his responsibility. He all of it is above and beyond his responsibilities. It's all out of the kindness of his heart.
At the end of the day, her biology says, am I safe? Can I trust him? Will he take care of me and my babies? And if she feels he's dropping standard,
She should leave.
if she feels he's dropping standard, her biology says test him because we want to know, is he going to be there or not? And the more uncertainty she has of how committed he is in the relationship, the more she will test him. It's not conscious, it's almost unconscious. That's what women are wired to do. And as men, we're looking at right or wrong. He pays the bills. He's doing more than what he's entitled to do.
Well, it depends on what she wants. If she doesn't feel that she needs that help anymore, then she can take the course she's taken.
Right.
She'll wind up having to find some other way to provide for her and her kid, I guess.
And that's the way it often turns out. Yeah, because typically, and that's unfortunately the way that I handled my divorce. The same.
He isn't married to her, by the way.
No, I get it. So whether you're married to the person or not, if the masculine is showing up in their masculine, the tension is low with the woman or the female, I should say, whoever that might be. They're more relaxed. They test less. If the woman feels she can't trust her man, she will test more. She will become bitchy. I took that initially as my wife was unappreciative. She didn't appreciate everything that I was doing. And then I wanted to get the hell out. If I'm busting my ass and I'm paying all the bills and I don't feel appreciated, why would I want to stay there? But the reality is she's doing what a woman is wired to do. A woman is desired that when she doesn't feel her man, she's testing because she says, can I trust you or not? Are you going to show up for me or not? So then what I did was I withdrew my love more. So what is she going to do? She's going to test and push and become even more bitchy. So unintentionally, by me not showing up in my masculine, I created all my problems.
Interesting.
If a woman doesn't feel heard and understood, the legs close. And if she does, the legs open. And if they're already not getting along and they're having friction, and like your brother's already, he's got one foot out the door. So she can feel
Well, he owns
that.
the house, yeah.
She can feel that, she can
Right.
feel that he's not present emotionally, mentally, spiritually, and physically. He may be physically there, but his mind, his emotions are somewhere else. And the bitchiness, the being upset, it's a man's job to create a safe environment, provide the masculine container. Because women take the littlest things, they turn little molehills into mountains.
Oh my God.
And they go,
yes.
ah! And it's the man's job to go, babe, we got this. It's not a big deal. What's the matter? You're upset. Let's talk about it. And that's obviously not happening. And we're assuming that she's a normal, happy, healthy woman. She could be a total lunatic. We don't know. But like from my perspective, when I teach, I always assume that you're dealing with a healthy woman. And if you're not, if the guy follows what's in 3% Man, the unhealthy lunatic girl, the girl that cuts herself or has mental problems or mental issues or whatever, she's not going to react too well. She's, you go out on a date and you call her the next week to make another date, and I haven't heard from you all week. Why not? Why didn't you call me? Why didn't you text me? You went out on one date and she's already pissed off and butthurt after 1 week. Then you know that she's not easygoing. She's not easy to get along with. The book worked as intended, because I've had lots of emails over the years, guys explaining those kinds of situations. But that's what you want, so you can separate the good women who have a healthy self-esteem from those that don't. And if the relationship starts out and you assume she's healthy, he's healthy, and the guys, because what happens in almost 100% of the cases when I'm doing with guys that are in long-term relationships is it's always the same things that happen. Either the guy, he's no longer dating and courting her. They basically became roommates. They live together. He doesn't date. They don't do anything. Never gets babysitters. Never plans any things like he used to do when they were single. Or he's not communicating to her and making her feel heard and understood. Because the whole purpose of going to a relationship is you're both there to give. And as soon as the one person stops giving, typically they both do it. When people get together in the beginning of a relationship, they always focus on what they love about the other person. But towards the end, it's always on the things that they hate about the other person.
And it's easy being the man to go right or wrong, go through my checklist. She doesn't appreciate me. I do this, therefore she should do that. So it's almost as if we're having an analytical experience and not appreciating the emotional experience. And I can tell you, I was definitely saying, this is right, this is wrong, and I'm right for feeling this way, and I'm right for pulling out of the relationship. But I could tell you, as the masculine, we have a tendency to go into that linear brain, the right, the wrong, the good, the bad. The women, they don't feel that. They're not in that linear brain. They're having an emotional experience. So as I'm like, well, she's wrong for feeling that, and I'm right for feeling this. Emotions don't know right from wrong. Women feel the emotion, and it's real to them. And they also don't have a reference for time. The masculine is a master of time and space. The feminine, they feel it now. It had nothing to do with now. They feel it now. It's now. And as men, you're trying to figure out what the heck are they talking about? They're like, everything was fine earlier.
So both parties need to bend a little, right? The woman has to bend a little to try and understand the man's black and whiteness, and the man has to bend a little to try and understand her emotional experience, right?
Because they're speaking two completely different
They
languages.
both have to bend a little, right, to try and understand the other person.
I'm going to say no. Corey, maybe correct me on this. I'm going to say when the man shows up in his masculine and has that safety and has provided that container where the woman feels safe, she is the epitome of the feminine when she's in the epitome of her emotions and allowed to express the emotion. I would say trying to ask a woman to be more sympathetic to the linear brain.
Yeah, if you treat her like one of your guy friends, that ain't going to work.
Yeah, that's not going to work. And I would say that if you want a woman who's reasonable, you're probably looking for another man.
Well, yeah.